welcome to this episode of Forno and Forum. Again, I'm your host, Nat Garofalo, and thank you again for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed the recipes and episodes that we've shared thus far. Today, we'll be making one of my favorite things to enjoy, which is steak. And you can pick whichever steak type you want, whether it be sirloin, ribeye, New York strip, filet. Today, we're doing New York strip. And I'm going to go through the whole process for you from prep to cook to enjoying your steak. So now to start with the prep side of it, what I like to do with my steaks is I like to take them out of the fridge at least about 30 minutes prior to them going on the skillet. And this is how we're going to be making them today. It's going to be a cast iron skillet cook. You can grill them, you can smoke them in advance and then finish them in the skillet. There's a 1.5 million ways that you can make steak. Today, we're making them on the cast iron skillet. So get enough paper towel to fit the size of your steak. And then you want to wrap the steak in the paper towel. What this will do is it'll draw out a lot of the surface moisture, which will help create a nicer sear for you when it actually goes onto the skillet. So just wrap it real nice, like a little steak present. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the rest of these guys. Welcome back. As we mentioned, our steaks have been resting outside, or not outside, but on the counter in a dish wrapped in paper towel to kind of draw out any of that excess moisture, surface moisture. It's going to help it get a nice little sear. At this point, we're ready to start cooking. I'm not sure if you can see on the camera or not, but there's some nice smoke coming up from the cast iron. That's a good sign that we're going to have a pretty good sear here. So what you're going to want to do is you want to season your steak pretty liberally on one side with some salt and pepper. The cut of meat can handle it. This is probably about good maybe teaspoon, 2 teaspoons worth of salt. Again, you just want to coat the top of the steak nice and evenly, and then the same with the pepper. Just get that nice and coated on there, and then slap it right onto this cast iron. You get that nice little sizzle. And then right away you want to go ahead and season the other side with salt and pepper. And then you want to, I'm doing 3 steaks today because I'm cooking for dinner for my parents as well. So we're going to see 3 different steaks, or the same cut, but 2 different temperatures. I'm doing mine medium rare, and then theirs is going to be a medium, just straight medium. And to give you a quick little overview of what the temperatures will be, rare starts at about 125. Medium rare is about 135. Medium is about 155. I'm sorry, 145. Then medium well is going to be about 155, and then well done, it's going to be about 165. Again, we're cooking these to medium and medium rare, so we'll be looking at 135 and 145. And then just if you didn't catch all that, I'll have all the listings down in the description in terms of the internal temperatures for rare, medium rare, medium well, and then well done, depending on how you want your steak. And then once you get the steaks in the skillet, you want it to cook on the initial side for about a minute so it can get a nice little sear. And then we're not really focusing on time here so much. The big focus is that internal temp, because depending on how you're cooking it, whether it's in the cast iron skillet or if you're grilling it or however you're deciding to make your steak, that will change the actual time that it's going to take. So you want to focus on that internal temp. And the best way to do that, I know a lot of folks will talk about poke tests and this and that and all the other stuff, but the best way to do it is to get yourself a nice meat thermometer. The sizzle from a cast iron skillet is one of my favorite sounds when it comes to cooking. So this is going to sit here for about a minute. The first one's probably pretty good to be turned at this point, but I'll let it go a little bit longer while I start to clean up here a little bit. And of course, the longer it goes on that side, it's going to create a nice crust for you, a nice little sear. And again, this is a simple steak, just salt and pepper, nothing too crazy. If you wanted to, you could add some garlic powder to it, but that's about as much as I would do for this. Okay. Yeah. Nice little sear on that first side. And, you know, for these, I probably should have split them up a little bit. They're a little bit too big to fit in there all together. Depending on the cut of steak, they'll probably fit in there a little bit easier together. So the way that this method is going to work, like I mentioned, we're going to have that first initial minute on the first side to sear. There'll be another minute on the second side for it to sear that side. And then from there, every 30 to 45 seconds or so, we're going to flip the steaks so that one side versus the other doesn't really burn until we reach our desired internal temp. Now the key here for the internal temp, while I forget to turn the steaks, the key here for the internal temp, you want to take it off about 5 to 10 degrees before your desired internal temperature, because you're going to need to let it rest. And while it rests, it's going to climb another 5 to 10 degrees. So if your internal temperature goal is 135, aim for the 125 to 130 range to take the steak off the skillet. Now I've got the skillet right now at a medium-high heat. And then you want the skillet to warm up for a bit before you actually start your cook. I would recommend at least let it warm up for about a good 15-20 minutes so it's nice and hot. Okay. This is the meat thermometer that I'm going to be using to probe the internal temperature. Again, I'm aiming for a couple different temps here. I'm looking for 135 for the medium rare, and then I'm looking for the 145 for the medium. So with those goals, the medium rare, I'll be taking that off at about 125, 130, and then the medium, I'll be taking that off at 135, 140 to allow for the rest time. All right, so like I said, it's been searing pretty good on that second side. So now at this point, you just want to start doing alternating, just turning it every once in a while. You try and use the steaks to scrape up any of the bits on there. Like I said, there's more than one way to make a steak. This is my preferred method. I think the flavor is really good. It maintains the juiciness of the steak. Get a nice crust from the pepper and the salt with the extreme heat of the skillet. I also like making my steaks on the grill. Again, there I like to use a high heat to get a nice sear. There's another method that we'll be showing here soon, which is I have a smoker that I just purchased recently. You start the steak on the smoker, bring it to a desired internal temperature, and then transfer it to your skillet for a nice sear. And supposedly it's one of the most amazing steaks you'll have. So you'll be seeing that recipe on here too. So just kind of go back over here. We've got 3 New York strip steaks. We've used about 2 teaspoons of salt and about 2 teaspoons of black pepper on both sides of the steak, and sear it for a minute on the first side, flip, sear it for a minute on the second side, and then cook to your desired internal temperature. So we're going to let these guys cook until they get to their desired internal temp, and then we'll check back in. All right, welcome back. Our first steak has reached the appropriate temperature to rest and rise to the next set of to the desired internal temperature. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy taken off, and we're going to put it in some aluminum foil so it can rest. The other two have a little bit longer to go. So while we get this guy foiled up, the other two should come to the appropriate temperature to take those off. And again, remember for medium rare, your target on the skillet that you're aiming for is 125 to 130 because it's going to raise some additional temperatures in the foil. And then for the medium, you're aiming for 135 to 140 because that's also going to raise an additional 5 to 10 degrees in the foil. We have a little bit of a breakout here in the foil, so I'm going to take a little bit more. This is a bone-in strip. Put this foil up real nice and let it sit here for a little bit. Probably can get another turn in on these guys. Now that they have a little bit more space, you can give it to them. Get the foil ready for these guys. These are a little bit thinner, so they didn't take too long to cook. And as far as the doneness, there's a lot of different methods you'll find out there. As far as like, you'll see the poke method where you can pinch your finger and all that stuff. I've tried those, and sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. The best way that I've done it is use a meat thermometer. It's the best way to tell. Okay. So these guys are ready to come off as well. Get these guys wrapped up real nice. So I'm going to finish wrapping these guys, and then we'll come back, and then we'll show you the how to slice it, and then we'll show you these guys plated up for a nice dinner. We having it with peas and some fried potatoes. I like to have my steaks with just about any vegetable, broccoli, asparagus is my favorite to have with steak, and then some type of potato. So we're gonna get the rest of these guys wrapped up and get the rest of the meal prepped, and then we'll show you the final plate. Welcome back. The steaks have been resting, and now it's time to slice them and serve them with our potatoes and our peas. So I'm going to unfoil the steak. You know, whenever you're slicing or cutting anything, you want to have a really sharp knife. It's just going to make the process better overall because you don't want to have to worry about a dull knife and potentially cutting yourself. So keep in mind that with the foil, it's going to be hot because you put a really hot steak in there. Additionally, the steak will have released a lot of juices. That's the point of of letting it rest. So you're gonna have a lot of juice you can put onto your plate as well. And then the steak itself can be very moist and very juicy as well. So you want to try and conserve as much of the juice as possible, not spill it. All right. All right, so we're going for a nice medium rare on this steak. It's a little bit overdone, but still pretty good. It'll be very tasty along with our potatoes, our peas. So we're gonna leave this guy alone. I'm not gonna slice it up anymore. We'll slice it up on the plate. So again, this is the cast iron skillet steak, and if you hold on for just a moment, we'll show you plated up with the potatoes and the peas. Right. Welcome back. Our meal is completed. We've got our steak all cut up. We've got our potatoes done and our peas done, and we're ready for dinner. And this is what your finished product is going to look like. Again, this was our medium rare steak with potatoes, peas, and again, the steak was made in the cast iron skillet. with just salt and pepper, no oil or anything like that in the skillet. Again, please take note in the description. I will have the entire recipe listed down in the description section. Again, with the salt and pepper, it's just salt and pepper to taste, but you want to have a nice even crust and a nice even coat on each side of the steak. And again, please note that you want to cook this to temp. If you're comfortable with the fingertip test and kind of poking your hand, that's fine. And cook it to your preferred likeness, whether it's rare, medium, well done, or medium well, etc. Whatever way you prefer it, feel free to make it that way. Again, like I prefer to have my steak medium rare with some type of vegetable and a potato, like we're doing this evening. And again, just a very simple, very tasty recipe, and you'll see a lot of those here on Forno and Forum. So we hope that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tune in for our next episode, and down in the comments, let me know if you tried the recipe, how it turned out for you, modifications you may have made, how you preferred your steak, if you cooked it on the cast iron. And again, remember, use a meat thermometer to check that internal temp and cook it to your desired temp. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to Forno and Forum, and we'll see you on our next recipe.